Welcome back to the Maelstrom, ladies and gentlemen. We have another Drop Zone Commander battle report for you today. We're playing 2,500 points, PHR versus UCM. We are playing Recon, so there's an intel marker in each of the structures across the table. We will be competing to see who can score the most points across that objective. We'll be right back with the armies. First up, we have the UCM contribution to warfare, 2,500 points.
So my field command is a Kodiak with a level 4 captain commander in it and a Ferrum drone base. Then for my first armored formation, I have 6 sabers sharing an albatross with 3 fire blades and 2 longbows in Raven Bees with missile pods. My second armored formation is 6 sabers sharing an albatross with 3 rapiers, and they also have 2 longbows with Raven Bees and they have missile pods. Then for my first Legionnaire Corps, I have 2 mortar teams in Bear APCs sharing a Condor, and a Rapier squad in a Condor. Then for my second Legionnaire Corps, I have 3 identical Legionnaire teams in Raven A's, and they have a pair of Falcon gunships as support. Then for my Special Ordnance group, I have 2 Gladius in a Condor with missile pods, 2 Scimitars that will be rolling on from the board edge, and a squadron of 2 Falcon gunships. And finally, for the Expeditionary group, I have a squad of 6 Wolverine A's.
Next up, we have the PHR, 2,500 points. Starting things off, we have our command group with a Nemesis Command Walker. Haven't played him yet, going to give him a go today. He has a Supreme Vizier inside, so command value 6, and he has 4 Mercury drones in 2 dropships with his group. They have both sets of missiles on their dropships. For our Pegasus group, we have 4 more Mercury drones and 2 more dropships. Those just have the Skyhammer missiles. Then we have a Medusa hiding there in the back. She's in a Triton X. And a pair of Valkyrie stands, which are also in a Triton. We have 2 Battle Pantheon groups, 2 Ares in a Neptune and 2 Phobos on foot. Same thing down here, 2 Ares in a Neptune and 2 Phobos on foot. For our Heavy Pantheon, we have a Hades in a Poseidon and 2 Odins in a Neptune. And then for our infantry groups, the first one is 2 groups of Immortals in a Triton, 2 Helios in a Neptune, and 2 Immortal AM sniper teams in a Triton. The second group is 2 more stands of snipers, which are also in a Triton. We have 2 Apollo walkers, which are in a Neptune, and then another group of 2 Immortals, which are in a Triton. So you have seen the armies and you have seen the table. It's time to get stuck into the Maelstrom. Turn 1 is in the books with several infantry in place, little damage done. The PHR started things off by moving on an armored group. We have the Phobos here and the infantry shot to the center of the table. We fired here, and those 2 Phobos put 9 points in this building, or put 7 points in the building. The Wolverines drove on in response, put 2 more into it, but couldn't quite finish it off. Second activation, we brought on some more Ares down here, along with the other Phobos shooting to the center. They fired here, and the 2 of them put 9 damage points in this building. It took a couple more incidentals along the way. The UCM responded by bringing on their Albatross down here and dropping off the howitzers there in the backfield. Next, the PHR brought on snipers here and infantry here. And got them in position. This building did take some damage from rocket fire. On his next activation, he brought his other main armor group on here, Albatross there, and the howitzers in the back. The missile pods did knock out 5 damage points and killed 2 of the Immortals here. The next activation was Heavies, with the Hades coming on here in the center and the Odins shooting up to here and disembarking in the street. Fired a little bit more stealth missile fire there, but to no avail. The UCM responded with Heavies, brought on their Gladius here and their Scimitars in the back. They fired through the gap and managed 1 damage point on the Phobos. We responded by bringing this commander on, fired the 2 arm shots here, missed with 1 and rolled a 1 to damage with the other, and rolled a 1 to hit on the guy back here. So nothing from the commander. He's not inspiring much confidence yet. He responded with his command, Kodiak in the back behind the skyscraper, and the rest of his units following suit, moving on there. The Pegasus followed that. We brought on the Valkyries here, and we brought on the drones for them on this flank. Then he brought on his mortar troops, which took on places in the back here and here. and brought their AA guns on here to counter the Pegasus and preventing push on this flank. Finally, we brought on the Helios here along with the troops, which disembarked into 2 more buildings, and he responded by dropping his light infantry in these 2 structures and in the structure on this flank in the very back. So not much damage done, which is normal for turn 1. No intel yet, obviously. We will be back following turn 2. Turn 2 comes to an end. The PHR-1 initiative activated main armor first, slid these guys out with a countermeasures hack, and fired on the Albatross. They were only able to do 2 damage points in that activation. UCM responded with their heavy ordnance, fired their lasers down the street, and killed both of the Phobos, and then slid to cover. And then the Gladius moved up here and disembarked behind the building. In response, the PHR activated the Helios infantry and moved the Helios up to protect against a Raven assault. Found an objective in this building and a point in this building, but their sniper slid to the wall. Fired on the Rapiers to no effect. The UCM responded with light infantry, who found a point in all 3 buildings and maneuvered around. The guys here were not quite able to make it into the next building, but they are on the move. Got guys here and guys moving up to the next small building here. PHR then moved heavy, trying to prevent some points between the Hades and the Odins. We fired here and destroyed this building. It came down on the bear and killed all the mortarmen inside, obviously, and prevented that point. The UCM responded with command, who did no, I don't think they really did any appreciable damage. They did move their drones up here, who are now secure because of these guys going down, and also the Ravens from one of the groups came up here, trying to pick on the commander since his air cover is gone. The Apollo infantry were next to activate. They found an objective down here and moved off the table. Despite drones being close, these fools blew the objective up on themselves, rolled 2 ones, 6 falling masonry results, lost 4 snipers, but they did reposition to this building for the next turn to try to find an objective there. Next up we had standard armor, which dropped in the street here. In response, the Pegasus group moved up, fired Skyhammer missiles, and destroyed one of the Sabres. Then the other armored group dropped in the street here. We have the Sabres in the back and then the Rapiers up front. PHR command went next, fired at the lead Rapier, missed again. Fired 2 shots at this building and rolled a 1 and 1 damage point. So that commander is not doing anything to engender himself to me. We will see what happens for the rest of the game. But as of right now, I think I am going back to Zeus. Then the scouts went for the PHR, the UCM, and they moved up here. Fired their dropships and stuff also, which I forgot to mention on the standard armor groups, at these Apollos, who had moved up with their infantry group and dropped here in the street for a quick, risky insertion. Finally, the PHR activated their last guys that had lost their Phobos and dumped them here behind this skyscraper. And then the mortars went, found a point, and found an explosive rather. They also rolled a 6, and they lost 7 men to the explosion. So this table is not conducive to human life in any of its many forms. Turn 3 is coming up, hopefully with a little less crazy dice on both sides, and we will be back following that. Turn 3 rolls to an end. Lots of damage and destruction this turn. The UCM won activation, unfortunately, this time, and were able to destroy both of the Apollos before they could jump. Still have never got to use those guys. In a later activation, the Wolverines came over and shot, and 6 Wolverines killed a Neptune. That was the kind of turn this was. We did find a point here, and I think that was the only point I found that turn. We found a point there and jumped the Valkyries across here. The infantry 1 group came on from reserve, jumped in this building, and then the armored group down here shot and destroyed all of them. We were able to swing our Ares to this flank along with the Phobos and fire and destroy this building to kind of strain these guys. We also suffered 3 direct hits on the Medusa. Yes, we both know she is E+3. He rolled 3 6s on his artillery, knocked her down to 1 point. Her dude here put 1 point back, and she jumped into the building because she's not going to be in the streets now. Figured we'll try to score some points. All this stuff came down here. Before the drones came in, the commander was down to 2 points and then was destroyed. But the snipers that moved to this building did find another objective, thankfully, and pulled it off. what else? Both of the missiles here, they moved up, fired the last of their Skyhammers, destroyed another Saber, and then were both cut down by the Rapiers in turn, who also killed this entire base of snipers through their E+1 and soft cover. The Ares and the Hades fired here and did nothing, didn't hit or failed to wound with all of their dice. The Odins did manage to core one of the Gladius. The other one is still here. So not a ton of damage to the UCM, but the PHR got their butts whipped. Luckily, his guys decided it was funny to plant explosives and blow themselves up this turn. So he rolled 2 or 3 ones. Three ones. So the PHR are winning, but only technically. I feel like Rocky Balboa right now. Both of my eyes are shut, but the movie script says I'm going to win. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Right now, both of us have had some very aggravating luck with our dice. His guys have been incapable of capitalizing on all this damage that his infantry or his tanks have done. I mean, he has never shot up my PHR like this, and it was a golden opportunity. And then the blasted infantry just decided to make a joke out of it. And my guys, on the other hand, my infantry are playing serious, and the rest of my guys are shooting pillows at the UCM. We will be back after turn 4 if both of us are still sane following the next turn. Turn 4 has come to an end, and the UCM Sanity snapped a split second before mine. We're going to go ahead and call the game there. Lots of damage this turn on the ground. 1 drop ship here, 2 drop ships here, both killed by the Rapiers there in the street. Sabres swung out, fired all their shots at the Odins, did nothing. All this AA fired at the Odins, did nothing. The Odins fired back and did nothing. The Hades finally connected. He killed 2 Sabres back here, and you'll notice the wall of flames between him, the Ares, and a couple other things. All of the Sabres were destroyed back here. One of the fire blades was destroyed as well from shape charge shots by the skimmers, the Helios. They fired from here and destroyed the last Saber and one of the fire blades on their shape charge. Snipers here fired again to no effect. The PHR walkers down here were able to swing out far enough to destroy this transport. The guys back here found an objective, handed it off to the Rapiers, who are now leaving with it, and then transferred across to this building. Call for extraction, brought in another Raven for the one I shot down last turn on a countermeasures hack, and then this one was destroyed as well. Took some more buildings down here. He laid an underground monorail and crossed. The Siren, or the Medusa, found a point and moved across. And then the nail that was final in the coffin, the Valkyries here, he deployed to try to hold them. Valkyries found an objective and jumped, whoop, not that way, they jumped over here into this building. So at that point, he's going to go ahead and call it. The PHR have 3 objectives off the table and 1 in transit. UCM have 1 in transit, and we scored 4 points each. So at that point it is, let's see, 6, 7, 11 to 5 in favor of the PHR. We will have after action reviews and army lists if we can develop our thoughts beyond just randomly typing in the keyboard in frustration. This was a stupid game all around, but at the end the damage came back for me, but his rolls of 1s to detonate buildings just never got any better. Give us a like on Facebook and a subscription on YouTube if you want to see more content. And as always, thanks for spending time with us today at the Maelstrom.